I think this is going to be a long video. Hello and welcome back to the Kashmir Couch. This is Tulasi. If you are new here, welcome. This is usually where we discuss the magic and the mayhem that is motherhood. The last few videos were about women's health, actually, so I suppose we're talking about everything woman now. Today, it's again like a pregnancy-related topic. But before I jump into that, if you are not new, you are joining us again, then I welcome you back. Thank you so much for coming back to join us on this couch. And I'd like to start with a comment that I received yesterday. I want to address this comment. It was by a cousin of mine. So I had attended another cousin's wedding. And so I saw this cousin, and her baby is now a toddler. So the last I saw her, her baby was an infant. That was at another cousin's wedding. And then so yesterday at the wedding, we got like 5 minutes, and she told me that she watches all my videos. So thank you if you're watching this as well. And she said that she just wished that the videos were done, or that she got to see those videos when she was actually pregnant, because it would have helped her so much. And I had another girlfriend tell me the same thing with one of my first few videos. And I am really glad that people are finding these videos useful, because when I started this channel, and I apologize if you think the same, if you wish that the videos or this channel really was just started much earlier. I should have started this channel about 2 years before it actually got started. So I just started it this year. I had been planning for it for about 2 years before, because I was going through the same thing. I was looking for answers about my pregnancy, about the symptoms, about the things that I felt were just hormonal and couldn't really explain. I was looking for explanations. I was looking to see if there was anyone out there who was going through the same thing as I was, right? And all the answers that I got, I mean, we're the internet generation. So we look for answers on YouTube, on Google. On YouTube, where there are people speaking back to you like this, the only people who are talking that I felt like I was getting some answers from were Caucasian women. Actually, American women. Yeah. And it wasn't easy for me to relate, because I am a Southeast Asian woman. First of all, the weather differences, okay? It is hot and hotter here. There are no seasons. We don't experience cold like you guys do. The only time packing warm for my newborn makes sense, or getting like really woolly and fluffy blankets or swaddles for my baby makes sense, is when I am wondering if the air conditioning is going to be very cold for my baby, because I can't sleep without the air conditioning because it is so hot. Otherwise, I'm not going to be packing for cold weather at all when I leave the house. So I had to try and look for videos. In terms of packing videos, I had to try and look for videos where the American women were packing during summer. And then came another problem. A lot of the products that are available in the United States of America, and like in different parts of the world, we don't have it readily available in Southeast Asia. So I'm from Singapore, and a lot of companies have international shipping now. I do know that. A lot of countries recognize Singapore and they ship to Singapore, but there are some things that we don't have as readily available here. Sometimes the shipping is just way too much. It costs us a lot of money, and it just doesn't make sense to like buy refills or something that needs to, like, it's not sustainable for me to keep buying something that's very expensive, when I probably should have a more affordable option closer to home. Does that make sense? So that was another issue that I kept having. Like, when this person that I would follow. Honestly, I don't remember any of their YouTube names. If I do, I will include it in the description box below, because whatever I did watch, I still could relate to some of the very standard mama issues that they spoke about. So I'm thankful for that. But some of the items that they were talking about, I don't have access to those things here. And for instance, the LV pump. So I was looking at one point for a hands-free pump that I could just stick in my bra and walk around in. The LV pump in Singapore. So I guess in America, there is some insurance thing that you guys have where you can use your insurance to offset the payment for your pump or something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Do explain to me the actual thing that's going on, but this is what I gathered. And in Singapore, you don't have such things. You have insurance, but you don't have insurance that covers your pumps. Like that doesn't happen, to my knowledge, okay? So the LV pump here in Singapore dollars, it's about 700 Singapore dollars. It was that price the last I checked, about 2 years ago. I am not going to spend $700 on a breast pump. I would rather get a pump that is not portable and just sit in one corner and just pump, because that just makes more sense monetarily to me. So these were some of the issues that I was having, and I decided that I did a lot of research. I spoke to a lot of people. I got married a lot later than a lot of my friends. So a lot of them got to do the trial and error for me. And I also have my mom living with me. So I had a lot to draw from. And after 2 babies now, so the elder one, she's 4, the younger one, she's 2. At this point in time, I think I have a little bit of experience to talk a bit about the things that I'm glad I actually didn't buy. Because if there's one thing I know, in both my pregnancies, both were very different, okay? Both my pregnancies were very different. But in both my pregnancies, I did have very strong nesting. So nesting, I don't know what it is, but they say that it's hormonal. So hormones just wire your brain to start looking around your house and prepping your house for the arrival of the baby. So that's when you buy like the crib, and I mean those are essentials. I feel like just fluffy things, soft things. You start baby proofing the house. You start, like, you have this urge to clean up and make sure the place is spotless, and it's not a dusty environment. You buy like weird things like the air purifier and things like that you never thought you needed before, because you're so particular about the baby coming. Now, this urge was the strongest in my first pregnancy, but I did have it as well in my second pregnancy. I think a lot of the symptoms and feelings that I got in my second pregnancy, they didn't overwhelm me as much as they did in my first pregnancy, because my firstborn was distracting me. She was demanding a lot of attention. Even though the pregnancies themselves were very different, I found myself doing the same thing, and that was constantly window shopping online. I was constantly looking for things to buy on social media. And we live in a day and time when you can't avoid this. So if you're a husband and you're just trying to understand this nesting phase of your wife, and you are worried that she's spending too much, maybe this could be a video for you, because I'm about to tell you, based off of experience, the things that they tell you you should buy, but actually you don't need. Having said that, let me put out a disclaimer. These are just things that I personally found to be redundant. I do have friends who've used them and they find that the convenience works for them. I will be sharing with you the purpose of the item and why I chose not to buy this item and what I did instead. And so if you think that this is justified, then you may choose to omit it from your wish list. But if you feel like, no, I can't do what you did, I want to get this for my convenience, then please do get it. I'm not saying that these are things that you should not buy. I'm just saying that if you are on the fence and you're thinking, should I get it or not? Maybe I can convince you not to get it because, there are other things that you might use your money for instead of these things. Number one on this list is something that, again, people get for the convenience of it. I was on the fence about it when I first saw it because I didn't even realize that I would need the item. Eventually, I didn't need it, but the purpose for which it is invented, right? I'm talking about a sterilizer or a UV sterilizer in particular for your bottle and pump parts. I didn't even know that I would need something like that because I had not thought of bottles. So my idea of feeding the baby was just to breastfeed. And I forgot that, I would have to go to work a couple of months after that. And then, how's the baby going to drink the milk? So then I started thinking about the pump. And I was so into looking for the right pump. And I got my pump first. And then after that, I started thinking about, okay, so when I pump, when I'm at work, I'm going to store it in milk storage bags. And then, the cooler. And I've got all of those things first. And then so what happens when I bring the milk back home, and then the next day when I'm actually at work, someone needs to feed the baby. So, and then I went to do my research on bottles and I got like the specific bottle set, hoping that the baby would take that bottle. By the way, don't buy big sets of things. For instance, if you're buying a baby bottle and your baby has not tried the bottle, don't buy too many bottles because you want to make sure that the baby is okay with taking this particular bottle. What do I mean? For instance, I used Tommy Tippy, and it's because the teat or the part of the bottle that the baby sucks on, it's supposed to be very similar to a mother's nipple. So I just was testing waters when I bought like 3 bottles of that, and then luckily my baby took it. And then I started buying more. And you replace your bottles once every 3 months. Some people do it every 6 monthly. I did it every 3 months. So don't buy like a whole big bunch of the same brand or something just yet, because you want to make sure that your baby takes it before you invest in that brand. If baby doesn't like it, or as one of my nieces went through, her baby suddenly developed colic. And so the bottle that she was feeding with was no longer the best option. And so she had to switch to a different bottle. If I'm not wrong, it's Mr. Brown's, which is also a great brand for baby things. If you read up on the company and their research and things like that. None of the items that I'm talking about are sponsored, by the way. This video is not a paid promotion or anything. These are just things that have worked for all of us, okay? All of us meaning the people in my life and the people that I've spoken with. So yeah, don't invest too much on things that you're not sure if your baby is going to take or not. Always test first. So I got the pump and the bottle and all of those things first, and then I thought about how I was going to clean these things. And so I was really, really convinced, because my friends got the UV sterilizer. I was seeing it a lot on my social media feeds. I was really convinced that I wanted to spend that money on this item. And then for some reason, I asked my mother, how did you clean the bottles that you used for me back in the day when there was no sterilizer? And apparently I was a baby who never got colic, okay? And she told me that all they would do was to clean the bottle, and so just using normal dish soap and water, they would clean the bottle and then, just shake off all the excess water, drop all of those parts into a pot of boiling water, just normal tap water in a big pot, that was boiling, and then when the water had boiled for a bit, they would just dump all of this hot inside. They would turn the stove off, and then they just let the whole thing soak for a couple of minutes, maybe like 10-15 minutes, I remember my mom saying. And by then, the heat just kills everything and the bottles become disinfected. If they do this overnight, they're really tired, they just leave it on the stove, and then the next morning they take it off and they dry the parts in the sun. If it's in the daytime, then they just take it off in like 10-15 minutes and they just dry the parts in the sun, and that disinfects the bottles. Being a nurse, I know that that's all you actually need. Heat kills germs, and you don't exactly need the whole UV thing. But again, if that is what you strongly believe in and you think that the UV is necessary for sanitization of your bottle and pump parts, then go for it. This is just something that worked for me. I have been doing it the past 2 pregnancies, no issues whatsoever. Touch wood, babies have not had any issues. And so I don't regret not buying that UV sterilizer thing. Number 2 on this list is a changing table. I was very convinced that I needed one as well. We were walking all around IKEA. That's how we say IKEA here in Singapore. We were walking around a couple of times actually. We went to IKEA to try and look for the perfect changing table. And there's also the problem of space. Now you need to make space for a lot of things for the new baby, and I was very overwhelmed with trying to figure out what type of changing table I would use and where I should place it and things like that. Eventually we didn't get it because I thought I would just do the changing temporarily on the bed and see how I felt, how my back would feel. And my beds are all, when I say beds, like even my mom's bed, our beds are all raised, so I don't really have to bend over too much. And until today, my 2 and 4-year-old, when we change their clothes, we do it on the bed. I never really had a problem with not having a change table. I got myself a change mat, a couple of them actually, the water resistant ones, so the water doesn't seep through on the bed, and we just change nappies on the bed. Hasn't really been a problem in my case. Maybe if you feel like bending over, if you don't have like raised beds, it's not going to help your back, then maybe you want to invest in a changing table. I don't know. The thing is, babies grow. If you're going to get a changing table, you probably won't be using it for very long. That's all I'm saying, because the baby's going to outgrow it. The bed, you have that for, I'm using it for my toddler now as well, and probably when she's a little bit older. The bed's fine. Number 3, wipe warmers. I cannot advise you to go for this one. There is absolutely no reason why you would want a wipe warmer. Can't even say it quickly. A wipe warmer. So if you don't know, a wipe warmer is like a little box or a device or something where you put your wipes in so that the wipes stay warm. In the middle of the night, if you have to wake up and change your baby's nappies, you're not going to shock the baby because of the cold wipes. Do you understand the concept of wipe warmers? I still don't. The baby cries for like 3 seconds, and then you put the nappy on after cleaning them, they go back to sleep, right back to sleep. You don't really have an issue with the shock. Maybe it works if you are experiencing winter. I don't know. I have never lived through winter. I don't know if I really need it, but no, not in Singapore, not with just air conditioning. You don't need a wipe warmer. And I have friends who got themselves rockers for their babies. In my household, our hands and arms are the rockers. So we rock the baby, sometimes our legs. We sit on the floor, we just rock the baby with our knees, and then the baby sleeps, and then we just put the baby away. you don't we didn't get a rocker. I don't regret not getting a rocker. I have never required a rocker, but I do understand the convenience of a rocker. Like, you have other things to do, you're a working mom, you are trying to juggle work, and at the same time baby's crying, and the baby just needs to be soothed. You don't really need to focus on the child. You can just put the child on the rocker, turn it on, and then it's quite relaxing to even watch, to be honest. But do you really have to have it? Again, it's a matter of convenience. If you think that it would help you, then go ahead. It wasn't really a deal breaker for me, so I didn't get it. So now that we're in the realm of comfort, a white noise machine. Okay, there is a lot of debate on this. I understand that. I did use white noise to help with baby sleep, to help to calm and soothe the baby. I did use white noise, but what I didn't use was a white noise machine. I didn't buy something specific for that reason. I used my phone and I used YouTube. It worked. How long can you leave your phone on? And then you have that other debate about using your phone around the baby. So what I did was to leave the phone. So I connected the phone to my speaker, and then my Bluetooth speaker, I left it at the cot. And then, people will be like, oh, the electromagnetic waves around the baby. If you're concerned about those things, and then, you want to get the machine, go ahead. I just didn't feel like I had to, because sometimes when the fan is turned on, that works just as well. Sometimes when there is rain outside, when it's raining outside, that works just as well. I don't even know how much a white noise machine costs. I don't think it's a lot, right? But I didn't need an additional gadget around that, I probably lose at some point, or I have to replace the batteries on, or just one less thing to charge. I don't know. The phone just worked fine for me. And to be honest, the fact that it was on a speaker, right? The white noise helped with everyone's sleep. I also did get an aromatherapy diffuser, yeah, that helped with all of our sleep as well. So just saying, you could be the kind of person who might not need the aromatherapy diffuser, but you prefer the white noise machine. In my case, it was the opposite. This is really more of a preference. Do you honestly need white noise at all? I mean, it helps, but if you are the more traditional parent, you can just carry your baby and rock your baby, get your baby to smell you and feel cozy and safe. That's all they need. They just want to feel safe. The white noise is to mimic the surrounding that the baby was used to in your stomach, by the way. Because imagine being in the womb. There is complete darkness, and there is always muffled noises coming from outside the mother. So what we are trying to achieve with the white noise here is to mimic the safety, the comfort that the baby was used to when the baby was in your womb. And that is kind of why it soothes us as well, because it brings us back subconsciously to a time when we felt the safest. So do you honestly really need it? Not necessarily. Some of my friends actually don't like the idea of white noise because they're afraid that the baby will get used to it, and then when you don't have the white noise, they can't sleep. I don't know if that is true, but for my kids, I used white noise on and off, and they never really got addicted to it. I think it's me. I was addicted to the white noise for a while, but it didn't do anything to my kids. When we were talking about warmth and comfort, and just literally warm things, I forgot to talk about a bottle warmer. Now, I never bought a bottle warmer for my first pregnancy, but I got a bottle warmer as a gift from a friend. And to be really honest with you, it made life very convenient because I just had to put the frozen milk in the warmer, and then turn on the button, and then it would beep when the temperature was just right, and then I just had to feed the baby afterwards. But you could do the same thing by putting the frozen milk in hot water, in a pot that is filled with hot water, not boiling, but just hot water. The only thing is that there is no beep. You might forget about it. And when you're a new mom, actually, when you're a mom in general, you have terrible brain fog sometimes. So, the beeping was the convenience for me. For the second baby, I thought I needed it, so I bought one, and then I never used it. So I gave it away to my niece. And she finds it very helpful. But to be really honest, you don't need it. Something else that I was almost convinced I had to buy, but I didn't for some reason. I can't remember why, but I actually didn't. Nursing covers. Now, I still breastfeed, and whenever I go out, all I have is, so if I'm wearing like a jacket or I'm carrying, like, I'm in the car, I just close the curtains and I feed. If I have a jacket on, then I just put that over baby. Otherwise, all I do is carry one swaddle around. And a swaddle does so many things besides just being a swaddle. So my kids have grown out of the swaddling phase, obviously, and they use the old swaddles as blankets. We reuse old swaddles as tablecloths because I got very pretty swaddles back in the day. 4 years ago. I reuse swaddles sometimes as scarves because the prints that are on the swaddles that I've gotten, they're very nice. Okay, sometimes I just wear them over my head. I wrap my hair in the swaddles. I use it as, I don't know, like a cover for my computer screen. On my desktop screen, I just use a swaddle to cover that so there is no dust on the screen. You can repurpose your swaddle in so many ways. So swaddle is something that I would never regret buying. But one of the things that you can repurpose your swaddle as is a nursing cover. And, all you need to do is just flick it over the sides behind your shoulders and then just sit on it and you have a nursing cover. If you're worried about not being able to see your baby or whatnot, you can do what I usually do, and that is I end up looking like Casper. I put the entire swaddle over my head and I cover my head as well as baby so I can see baby. And when I'm very okay with my positioning, and then I take my head out, and then, the swaddle just covers me until there. And it works. I don't need a nursing cover. I have never needed one. But again, that is just me. Again, it's about convenience. It's about your preference. A lot of these things on this particular list are not things that you have to have. More often than not, people can tell you what they want to, but you have to try and test it out to see if it works. I never got a stroller for my first baby in the first few months because I believed one of my girlfriends when she said that, it's better to just carry the baby on your body. So we got a baby carrier instead, and we didn't get the stroller. Very soon after the baby was born, we realized that we had to get a stroller. It just wasn't for us. Baby carrying worked for short trips, but not like when we were going out to the zoo and things like that. I was still a postpartum woman, and so I was still recovering and having to carry the baby all the time. It was not something that was feasible for me. My husband was not used to carrying a baby like that ever, so it was a little bit uncomfortable. Didn't work for us the way it did work for my friend. So there you go. One more thing I did not buy and do not regret to this day. This one might ruffle some feathers. Nursing bras. I do not own a nursing bra. I have never owned a nursing bra. I never saw the need for it because all I do is just push the pad of my normal bra down and I can feed. I know that it can damage your bra, but I'm someone who changes my bras pretty frequently anyway. And since being pregnant, um, I've been changing my bras very frequently, and I don't buy the usual expensive bras that I was used to before my pregnancies. It's only now that my second born is 2 years old that I started to go back to those kind of bras, and I'm slowly building my bra collection back. But prior to this, it was all about comfort. So I was wearing bras that didn't have wires. I was wearing bras that didn't have a lot of padding and stuff like that. So it was just very easy to just push it down, and I didn't have to, like, I don't even know how nursing bras work. Something about clipping and unclipping, right? I don't, yeah, I just push the pad of the bra down, or the cup of the bra down, to reveal what the baby needs to drink, and she does her own thing. So I never had the need to buy a nursing bra. Again, it's about convenience. It's about what you're used to. It's about what you want. I just did not like the idea of having to unbutton and like find the button, and I felt like it would be an inconvenience for me. If there is one thing that I can tell you for sure that you don't have to buy, and that you will not regret not buying, is this: too many onesies in the same size. The first 6 months of your baby's life, you're gonna go through clothes like nobody's business. Like, really, the baby is not going to stay the same size for more than a couple of weeks each time. So if you want to buy those very expensive, high-end branded clothes for your baby, not this time, not at this age. That's, you might be thinking of comfort. I was very into bamboo cotton because it was like really cooling and soft for the weather that we have in Singapore. One of my dear friends, my neighbor actually, we got pregnant like one after the other. So she got me as a gift for my second baby this really nice branded baby bodysuit, right? I loved it to bits, and I wanted to go get some more for myself. And I saw the price, and I'm like, maybe not at this age, because $50 for a baby bodysuit, no matter how luxurious the material is, right? It's not something that I feel is sustainable, because the baby's only going to be wearing it for like 2 weeks. Unless you have a photo shoot and it looks really nice, that's a different thing. I find that those netted singlet situations, if you know what I'm talking about, looks like the material it's cotton, but it looks like it's a net, right, that the baby is wearing. I'll see if I can show you a picture. I bought a lot of that, and those very simple $2 singlets, or like $5 cotton sets that you can get from the marketplace. Those just worked wonders, and they were fine. $5 for 2 weeks, I'll take it. Also, don't buy, especially if you have family, because family is going to do that for you. They don't know what else to gift you and your baby, so you're going to get a lot of newborn sized onesies anyway. When you come back from the hospital, there is actually no need for you to buy any clothes for the baby for the next 2 months. Really. And the last thing on this list is newborn shoes. People like to buy branded, high-end, luxury branded shoes for babies. First of all, the baby can't walk yet. I'm talking about infants, okay? If you're buying it, for keepsakes, I don't know. I'm just not. I don't belong to that camp, okay? But if you're buying it for a photo shoot, yeah, sure, I guess it's just way too much money. I still think of it as a waste. Why would you want to buy shoes for an infant when the infant is going to grow out of it in a couple of days? especially, luxury stuff. I think it's the same as the onesie situation, but it's worse when you're buying actual shoes and like luxury shoes. Like if you are someone who wants the aesthetics, because sometimes you need to have things that are visually pleasing to really feel it. You need to feel comfortable, and therefore you need all of these things that might be redundant, but you just want to have them just in case. Now that's something that is quite inevitable when it comes to your nesting stage. Sometimes at that point in time, you're unable to rationalize. Trust me, I've been through it, right? And so I feel like it is my duty to tell you that these are some things that you just don't need. But then again, if you're in that phase and you're still trying to convince yourself to get it, then go ahead and get it. Sometimes some mistakes, they can be a little bit expensive. Don't worry, you will learn, and then hopefully for your next baby you either reuse this or you feel like you're not going to need it and you can pass it down to somebody else. I do have two more lists. I have a list of things that I think all new mothers should have as a list to check off of when they do their shopping during the nesting period, because these are things that you would definitely use. I also have a list of things that I did buy during my nesting stage and ended up not using ever. Or maybe like once or twice, and then, maybe that particular baby didn't use it, or I don't know. I have a list. So these will be what my videos next week would be about. So if you're interested, do come back to the couch. Let me know in the comments if there are things that you wish that you had bought and you regret not buying, or if you think any of the things that I spoke about resonated with you. Do consider subscribing, and if you feel like this information will help someone that you know, do share and like this video. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you guys again next week. Bye!